Your thoughts on the number 4 seed and everything?
Well, I'm very happy with that. Just from a program standpoint, how that all shakes out in terms of the postseason play and how things unfold that way. You got to play, and then, But I love the fact that our program. I just think I'm not doing a real good job articulating this, but I think it's a nice staple or statement that we can get Indiana to a national seed in conversation with baseball.
No shave till season end now?
Well, that's a good question. I actually shaved before the Big Ten tournament, so I may have to make it a start over type thing each time, but kind of a fun thing with the guys.
Last year's kind of the first go around for these guys, and Schwarber said they might have been pressing too much. It might have been too much case of nerves. What do you have seen in this team this year that's different from this year as far as they can handle the
They just play. It's one thing we talk about all the time with our guys. Don't be afraid of the result. Just play. And, at the end of the day, you want to walk off the field knowing you've done everything you can. I know that sounds cliche, but I think if we do that, more often than not, we got a good chance of winning. So I think if you start worrying about the result or worrying about trying to impress is when you do press. And this group has done a pretty good job of handling that up to this point. I don't anticipate it being any differently when we start the regionals.
Horizon League team almost got you the first game last year. Does that make it a little easier to get up?
I go back to this point in the season. If I've got to say things or get guys to get motivated to play or look beyond opponents, I can't say that stuff on camera. So there will be no looking past them. We're going to try to. It's very important to win that first game, and as we win this last year, exactly. Anything can happen. I thought we were very fortunate, very lucky last year to do that. So we're not looking past anybody.
I guess as you think about it, approaching the weekend, do you just structure your pitching rotation the way you have all year? Do you think about changing things up?
Now we may look at that differently. But the luxury that we have is we'll look at matchup wise to see the righty lefty, but we have two guys sitting at the top that to me are two aces. So we'll look at that one most definitely to see what gives us the best chance, because our thought is, we want to win this thing and keep progressing. So we'll try to evaluate that, position ourselves to put us in the best position to do that.
Since we're on that now, is Brian going to be available?
Yeah, he'll be available this week. Yep.
You obviously, after last year, you were already talking, in terms of the path, you probably need to get yourself in a position to host. And, you talked about how much important a national seed would be. How much did you want that on these guys' minds, this season? How did you kind of play that balance?
Well, we did. We wanted it. Quite frankly, I thought we kind of shot ourselves in the foot early in the season. And it was one of those things we actually had a talk in the locker room that, hey, we've kind of stumbled here early, probably taken ourselves out of position for a national seed. Let's just get back to playing as well as we can. And unfortunately we did and caught fire a little bit. But I think the national seed is important. I don't think it's the most important. Probably to me, what's more important is hosting the regional. If I look at the tournaments last year, there were plenty of national seeds that did not get out of their regionals or their super regionals. So that will be told over and over to our guys. We got to approach this like we've done all years. Just take one game at a time, and when you start listening to, and I've already heard it, IU fans and people, hey, we'll see you in Omaha and all that stuff. I'm excited about the enthusiasm, but I'm also, people need to realize it's very, very difficult to get there. And, and we're going to approach it that way. We're not taking anything for granted. We're going to try to win one game at a time.
You mentioned the struggle in the beginning of the season, 12 and 10. Do you think this team kind of needed to be humbled?
That's a good question. I don't know if they necessarily needed to be humbled. I think it was more that we just kind of got our rhythm a little bit. Maybe it served as a wake-up call that playing with a target on your back is a little bit differently than sneaking up on people, which is what we did, I think, to some extent last year. But after we settled into a groove and just got comfortable in our own skin, not trying to impress the pollsters, not trying to impress the fan base, just being who we were, I thought we played good ball, and that's kind of what we've settled into here lately.
I think it was the Michigan game in April when you said, I'm okay with losing the battle if I win the war here. Do you look back at that game as a turning point now?
Yeah. It was kind of about that point where, yeah, we realize that it's time to do things, I always say for IU, and do it within the structure of what we're trying to do. And I think guys understood that and embraced that. What I love most is yesterday, and I know you were at the press conference, but listening to Kyle Schwarber when the draft question came up. I mean, that's the thing that people battle at this time of the year. But the fact that those guys like that, some of the greatest talent in the country, are focused on one thing, which is a national championship. And it was that mindset kicked in probably about conference play that, hey, we got one shot at this, of this group of guys that's in this locker room collectively, one shot with this group, let's make the most of it.